Hold on to your baskets or any other body part in 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Nitty Gritty with your hosts, Marc Graue
and Deb Munro. A podcast with no boundaries that tells it like it is.
This ain't your mama's show.
This is the Nitty Gritty.
And we're back. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm Deb Munro.
Don't turn it off yet. This is Marc Graue. Hey, guys. Glad to be back for a week of excitement and pissing everybody off in the voiceover industry.
Right? Isn't that the goal?
That's what our job is
Nobody
to be
wants to
honest.
piss people off. Everybody wants to sugarcoat things and say it, the way they think they're supposed to. But I guess it's not that I want to piss people off, but getting into the nitty gritty like that.
There you go. That's why we call it that. Absolutely.
In its entirety, good, bad, and the ugly, because there's
absolutely. In fact, we were talking, a little bit before starting as far as high maintenance talent. And that can be, whether it be voiceover coaching, whether it be a session, whether it be demos, when you hire someone, I mean, personally, it drives me. It's like you're paying me for the longevity, how long I've been doing this. And it's not like, oh God, I'm the all-knowing, all-seeing God, I know everything. No, it's definitely, it should be absolutely a collaborative work. Yeah. But at the same point, if you're telling them you can't do 9 characters on this because your demo is going to be 8 minutes long. Well, that's what's going to be. I've had people that have told me, I want to put a space between each piece so that people can digest. And it was like, that doesn't, everything comes to a screeching halt. You want something that you hit, it's like a song and you don't, oh, there comes the hook, stop it. It's like,
well, unfortunately, though, look at what the kids are doing. That is what they're doing. It's so like, maybe it's not with a space, but we have 2 different high maintenance sectors here, in my opinion. We have yesterday's high maintenance talent, which we should talk about and we have most experience in.
Don't look at me.
And then we have tomorrow's.
Stop it.
Tomorrow's is going to be crazy. Tomorrow's is going to be nasty because I am listening as I coach talent. Well, my character wouldn't do that. I don't care if you think your character wouldn't do it. I said jump, now jump. Like it's just
and that's the thing that you don't understand, because if you start that shit with a director, they're going to say, okay, we're done. Yeah. The thing that people forget, our job is to adapt to whatever the client wants, not the other way around.
Well, it's not our project. I think a lot of people look at it as our project, but unless you funded it, unless you cast it, unless you directed it, it's not your project.
You're a hired gun.
You're just
absolutely.
A hired puppet. Yeah,
and that's the beast. And because again, that's not saying that it can't be collaborative and you can't go, hey, can I just very self-effacing? Can I just try something else? I ad-lib a lot, and sometimes many times they will keep it and use it and laugh and think that's great. And a lot of the time it's like, no, we really need to stick to the script because it's gone through legal or that's what it is, or the writer's having an aneurysm over in the side because you're changing his script. So it's and so I understand that kind of stuff. But the crazy thing is that when you have a director or producer, whatever it is on the other side, they're there to guide you. And we come from an era, again, of live directed sessions, even auditions. You went to your agent, you went to the buyer, you went to a casting director, and there's somebody telling you, hey, no, try this, and they're giving you feedback. Well, you're not going to sit in a session like that and go, no, that character wouldn't say that, and that's not how I do it, because they'll go, okay, thanks, bye, and you won't be working with that casting director ever again.
What scares me about that is the younger generation, because I am seeing them do that. We've taught them how to reason, and now they're reasoning so much, they're reasoning themselves out of jobs, and they might not even know why. But I explain to them as well as our generation retires, whenever that is, when we retire, those younger directors, producers are going to come up in the rankings. And they are going to be all about reasoning. Oh, because I don't know if you know this, Marc, but they have a 15-minute anxiety break in the Army. A 15-minute anxiety break.
Well, and I was in the Army, and we were all very anxious and never saw that.
you need one every minute in the Army, I'm sure. But I mean, that's kind of what you go in for, is that militant training, which our generation really took out. We took out militant training. The Oprahs, the Dr. Phils came, and we started reasoning with our kids. And now I'm seeing that as a negative in many aspects, really. But especially when I'm just trying to give them some direction on this. I had a student who happened to be African American, which had no relevance to the story, in my opinion. And I said to her, okay, I want you to go sultry with this. The script was, it's on sale for $5.99. And I said, okay, I want you to go sultry with this. So she went for her sultry. I gave her direction, gave her a redirect. Then I got 3 emails after that class was over from 2 different people plus that student saying that I demeaned her, I womanized her, and I used her race against her. And I was like, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. What are you talking about? Like, I didn't even understand it. And they said, well, because she was Black, you sexualized her. And I'm like, no, because she was the next person in line, I sexualized her, if that's what you want to talk
Well,
about.
and that brings up an interesting point, and that is that voiceover is still, now the latest is non-binary or transgender.
Yes,
Now,
of
what that
course.
has to do vocally, great,
Beautiful.
fine. But it's usually male, female. That's how it's broken
Yeah.
down. If you even look at agent sites, it's like, male animation, da da da, female, da da da, age, also age, between this age, etc. You have to realize, it's like pronouns. God bless you. Hey, be whatever you want to be. You do whatever makes you happy. If you want to identify as a tree, you identify as a tree. But that being said, that doesn't have a fucking thing to do with a voiceover session. So don't bring that up and say, well, you have to refer to me. It's like, no, I don't. It's like, that has nothing to do. I want to get the best possible read out of you. If we're doing whatever it is, if I'm directing, it doesn't matter if it's a project, if it's a demo.
No relevance,
and that's not part of the deal. And it's like, times is going, well, this is, and I've done that before, where it's like, okay, this is like bedroom talk. Well, that can be male or female. It's very much, so you're bringing it down very much like this, and it's very intimate, and that's all that means. It's not, oh, well, you're saying, no, I'm not. I'm simply using a phrase to get you to give me the right performance.
And for
so
me,
all of that.
Sorry, for me, I was quite taken back because I used to be a casting director, and as a casting director, I could go up to anyone. Hey, do you want to be in this commercial? Do you want to be in this? And I had a male casting director who says, you're so lucky, Deb. You can go up to anyone and ask them to be in a commercial. I can't. And I said, why? Because I just didn't think of it that way. And he goes, Debbie, I can't. I'm a male. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I never even thought of that. So for me, it was the first experience I had where someone was feeling I was sexualizing them. And I was taken back because 3 people said it. So I'm like, okay, I need to go listen back to what I did. Because obviously I've done something. If 3 people are coming back to me, and I did nothing. When I listen to it, it's like, no, I just asked her to go sexy here. No different than I would ask her to go sexual in a chocolate commercial or a cologne commercial.
But the funny thing is as a guy, I would ask a guy to go really sexy, go that very white kind of.
I do
like
all the time.
And sure. And I mean, it just, and that's all you're doing is describing the style of read that you want. There's nothing, there's no underlying, sexual tension. It's like, I'm just trying to get a goddamn read out of you.
So that's where we go back to our conversation, is how much it's going to change. We think it's already, we've got some high maintenance, and I'm sure you've dealt with some serious high maintenance talent being in LA. Because you've dealt with a lot of celebrities. Sure. And I think celebrities are first given that permission slip from the start of their career.
There's 2 schools of camp
to get everything they want.
You've got people that are very real, very down to earth, and they realize they're thankful for being where they are, and they're great, and they're just a gem to work with. I've found that a lot of it are just starting out, that have maybe done 1 or 2 Lifetime auction Hallmark movie. That's where it's like, do you have any idea? And it's like, oh, okay, here it begins.
You know who I am.
And it's, and the thing is, it's like, that's wonderful. I mean, you get into this, and quite honestly, voiceover wise, it's the same thing. We're behind the scene. So when you go to conferences and you go and do this and that, everybody enjoys that bit of adoration, because you normally don't get that. And that's fine. I'm slightly, I mean, I post a lot of stuff. It's fine. The interesting thing is, growing up with that, with my dad anchoring news and stuff, stuff and people asking for auditions. It was like, we were always like, well, he's still going to kick my ass when I get home. It's my dad. It's like, he's not like, ooh, he's the news guy. It's like that. It was, that didn't, and my kids are kind of the same way. I'm sure they could tell you awful stories that I was terrible. It's not true, but anyway. But so, yeah, but again, the thing is, don't build in excuses for things. And it's the same. And I know I'm going to get credit. Well, that's not an excuse. And I understand. I get it. Once again, you do whatever you want to do in your life. That's what this is about. Be happy. It doesn't matter. You do what you want to do, and nobody's going to judge you. But there are certain things where that doesn't come into play.
Yeah.
If you're, taking out a bank loan, okay, fine. Does that matter? No, it matters. No. They're looking at finances, they're looking at credit history, they're looking at debt, et cetera. I don't give a shit if you go out and screw a dog, whatever. That has nothing to do with this. Yeah. It doesn't, that's not part of that equation. And what happens is when you do that, that muddies up the water. And like you were saying, you got 3 people, getting back to you. Well, what that immediately does is it puts everybody on edge. Yeah. And then everybody's like, oh, well, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that. And, oh, well, and now rather than being you and being just how you act and natural and react and getting the best possible thing, now we're playing, internet games where it's like, oh, I need to edit everything I say. Oh, shouldn't say that. Oh, no. Oh, whoops. Oh, no. And it's like, this isn't that kind of it's the entertainment business. Everybody, we're looking to get the best possible end product. When that comes out, it's like, wow, that kicks out, and it does whatever. I mean, even if it's a commercial, even, call 1-800 jam your ass in debt. You still want the best possible version of that you can get. And so if it's immediately terse, I've worked with a couple of directors that rather than putting their arm around you, so to speak, and bringing you over to their side and explain, okay, so this is done. And you go, oh, okay. Oh, cool. Okay. That makes perfect sense. As opposed to, are you listening? That's not what I asked you to do. What you're doing right now, you're doing this accent. That's not what I asked. So why are you? And immediately it becomes Clash of the Titans.
That's right.
And I think I told you my Betty White story.
Yeah.
When we were in a session and doing that, Betty is very sweet and this woman was just killing her, directing her. It was an audiobook. I mean, just like, and Betty goes, let's just take a break. And it was like, sure. So we go out and walk, and the minute we get out the door, she goes, God damn, what a bitch. It's like, and it's like, and so not that you're there to make friends, but I mean, obviously the reads are not going to be great because she's not at ease. She's not feeling.
Yeah, the mood's important, and how people come into a session, whether it's the talent, the director, the client, if they come in with a mood and bring it in, something I think we've all been taught by experience, you just don't bring that mood in. Yes, I know you've had a really rough day or you've had a really rough experience, but right now is your playtime. Right now is the time you get to remove all that from your head and get to just
and that's the acting part.
Yeah.
It's like, everybody has baggage. You had a crappy day, you stubbed your toe, you stepped in dog poop out in the yard, whatever, you got a bill that you thought you'd pay that you didn't or something, whatever it may be. Yeah. I mean, welcome to being human, and that's not, it's just as a human being, you're going to have good days that are great. Wake up and it's wonderful. And you're going to have other days that it's like, this sucks. Well, you need to level that out and you need to buck up there, kid, because when you go into a session, nobody gives a crap that you're having a shitty day. It doesn't make any difference. It's like, that's not what you're there for.
All they care about is the end product, because there's a lot of money involved in all the time.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people neglect how much a studio costs or how much it costs to have that many writers in the room or for the clients to give up their day and be there. There's a lot that goes into it that people take for granted. And I think
when you're talking about a video game, honestly, nowadays, it would not be outlandish to be between 70 and $100 million for a AAA huge game. That's a lot of money. So that's not the place to go and, God, I'm not really feeling one today. And don't call me
this character at all.
No, you just, you want to walk in and go, hey guys, how you doing? And I've had sessions. I remember one in LA where I walked in, I was late. I got stuck on the 405. No, not by my choice, but it was an accident and stuff. So I walk in, there's 8 people sitting in the control room and they all turn and look at me like, what
Yeah.
How
How
dare you
dare
be?
you?
And I said, guys, I'm so sorry. I was stuck on the 405. My finger is killing me. I've been like this for the last hour. And they all went, oh, and it
Yay.
lightened up the moment. And then it was
Yeah,
great. And then it was just like,
exactly.
okay, let's get to work,
Moods are
and
very reflective in this industry. And I think that, again, we're seeing, so we have two different divides here. We have the old school high maintenance, which is just an arrogance of, look, I don't do those things and I don't need to do those things. And look at me. And which, again, I think the celebrityism started that. And I don't see it as grand in the voice acting industry as you do in the film industry. And I think the only reason is they're not seen. So not everybody knows that they were on that commercial or
But
that
I
they
remember even
had it.
doing a session like with Don LaFontaine, in a world, and so we're doing a session, and they go, "Geez, we just need you. You need more smile." And he goes, "I don't do smile." He goes, "You want smile? Hire fucking
Yeah, I
Mark
don't do
Elliott."
that. Yeah.
It's like Mark Elliott was the Disney's most endearing
Yeah.
characters, and just a different style of read. But
Yeah, exactly.
that's a different genre. He had reached a point where you can do that, and sometimes it is difficult because occasionally you will get somebody like that. Oh yeah, the voiceover thing is down here on the rung, and it's like, oh yeah, have the PA go do it rather than a director, writer, producer that really knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's a person they throw into it, and those are usually the sessions where you have to do, and it's great. Okay, let's do another 10 in a row. Okay,
Yeah.
now let's do five of it's.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's do really. Now let's do, yeah, and usually those are people that, because they're not the ones making the decision, so they're covering their butt.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
when they make sure, oh yeah, no, I've got another take of that. And those sessions can be brutal. I mean, it's like, why don't you just let me go? I think I told you the one where we were doing the whole thing with it was a shooter game, first person, military, and the direction went on and on and on. I won't say who the director was, but it literally was like, so it's not an enlisted. I mean, it's like he's a grunt, so it's an enlisted guy, but they treat him like an officer, and it goes on and on and on and on. And on. So they've got great respect for him, but he's still one of the guys. And data. Okay, rolling. Here's the line. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's like,
I
really?
know
And
there's a
so,
deep
and
thing.
and you know, and so you're kind. A
Yeah.
lot of it's having to keep a straight face because you don't want to go.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, it's like, I know. Why don't you let me? I'll give you 20 in a run. There's going to be one in there, I'm sure that. But you can't say that. You go, okay, because we're there. We're the hired gun. So if that's how they work, then that's how they work. And it's
Which
like you
goes
just nod
back
and go,
to
okay, no problem.
which goes back to what we started with this, which is, if you've hired us as coaches or as demo directors or demo producers, there is a sense of trust that we are the experts here. And with a client, it's very different, but it's still the same. So where the difference is they might not be an expert in voice acting. They might not be an expert at teaching an actor how to act or directing an actor how to act.
The
They might
problem
make really
too.
good video games, but that doesn't mean they're great at what they do, but they are still riding over top of anybody in the room in charge.
Well, the problem too with that, a lot of that is they've had someone say, "You've got, mom, oh, darling, you've got such an amazing voice." And it's like, that's great. But, it's like, if you have that deep ballsy, then great, do in a world. If you don't, in a world, in a world,
Don't expect the same.
in a world. It's like, I always tell people, with a demo, it's like, I realize, yes, you want to be able, but there's a difference. Some people have a voice that fits a Toyota Prius. Some
Yeah.
people have that Ram truck kind of toughness to it. And other people have a Lexus that's very elegant.
You got
And
to
so
find
you
your place.
want that demo or whatever to fit that person, because counting that's, and there's nothing worse, especially first timers, when they put stuff on it because an agent goes, what is that? There's no way in hell I would ever book them for that. They wouldn't book that job. And
Yeah.
that's the key, is you
No
want to
point in
put
having
stuff
that
on
there.
that you'd actually book.
Yeah,
You
you need
know,
your signature in there, whatever it is that you're good. Now, let's go back to the Don LaFontaine thing for an example, because I think that's actually a really good example of someone where a director or client might be intimidated to direct if he says, well, I don't smile. It's just what I don't do. But with another talent who's not as well known, they'd be like, well, you're going to, here's what I need you to do. Or they should
sure.
bring you back in again if you say I won't. Whereas Don LaFontaine had an earnship. And when you get that earnship, when you get to a level in your career where you don't need the money anymore. You don't need the jobs. It's just because you enjoy it still, because
But
you're in high demand.
to preface that story too, the company that we used to do a ton of movie trailers with Don,
Yeah, of
um,
course.
they got to the point where they knew me and they know I've been doing this forever, and they knew Don very well. So they would kind of send a PA, a production assistant, over to just
Let
kind
you
of
do
sit and
things.
watch. And I remember the one time Don, I remember one time getting this kid. He goes, "Yeah, just for the hit. Let's fuck with this kid. You want to?"
Yeah.
It's just, I went, okay. So he's doing this. So the kid goes, "Can I get you to, are you serious? I'm not going to
Yeah.
do that." And you could just see like a puddle of pee starting under the chair. The kid's like, and finally I had to, after a good 5, 6 minutes, I had to jump in and go, "Okay, we
Yeah, we
have to
gotta
stop
tell
now
him.
because this kid's
Yeah.
going to have it. He's going to die." And then Don laughed and I laughed, and it was a
Yeah.
funny bit,
You
and
have some fun
fine.
with it.
But
Yeah.
the thing is just that when you have that, and we've talked about the clicks and all, but when you're in a session, again, it doesn't matter who's telling you what. It makes
Yeah.
no difference. You may have absolute
The production
complete
assistant. Yeah.
zero lack of respect for this person.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any difference.
It's
You
true.
were hired to do a job, and
Yeah.
it's no different. Look at it as, you have a job, and oh, the assistant manager is great. The manager's a total a-hole. God, I hate him. Well, you're not. Are you going to say that to his face? Hell
Yeah.
no. If you want the job, you're not going to, because
Right.
when you do, that's going to be the last day you're going to be working there.
That's
You
the
know.
thing. And in this industry, they don't tell you. You don't even know. You just don't get brought back. It's as simple as that. They're not going to sit
Oh
there
yeah.
and cause
Yep.
drama with you typically, but you will find out when you don't get hired again for that one.
And it's perfectly acceptable to very self-effacingly go, can I just give you another take on that? Oh, sure, man, no problem. But there's a difference between, gee, asking, is that okay? And going, I'm not doing that. That
Yeah,
character wouldn't say that. And there
exactly.
are a lot of the times, as we know, especially if you get games that are being localization, meaning you're doing the English version of something. The English can be particularly bad. And I always ask, it's like, do you want me to tweak this so it makes more sense, or do you want
Yeah.
it verbatim?
And
That's
that's
why
what
now, if
people
we,
have to
we are for it to go killing it, we should, and it's like, this, okay, I'll do it that way if you want, but if you want me to switch this up so it makes sense.
true.
And
That
so most of the time they'll go,
there's
"Oh yeah,
so
great."
many examples for all of us that have been in the industry long enough to experience it, but I definitely, for the newbies starting, it's like you might be a really good grammar expert, and that is wonderful. But is that your place in the room that day? I love to help. And I was a casting director at the time when I started in voice acting. I'd already been a broadcaster, but voice acting was a separate industry to me. And I was in the film industry at the time. And I was already casting, and I like to help people in their audition as opposed to just not say anything to them. I'm a very forward person. So I would say, listen, your slate has no meaning. Let's do that again. And I'd have them do their slate again, or give them some direction. So I was used to giving direction, and I started teaching, I think at some point anyway. And so when I went into some of my first animations, the directors were not able to get out of the talent what they wanted. And I knew I could get it out of them. I just knew they were saying it wrong. Oopsie. And so I
Sure.
thought I'd be so helpful, to just give them a lending hand in the session. And why don't you try this way? And what I did was I talked myself out of a job because
Sure.
I didn't know my place in the room.
In the
And
hierarchy, and you're stepping all
yeah,
over them. Sure,
and as much as I don't
absolutely.
believe in
Sure.
hierarchy in an everyday setting, and as humans, I do believe in hierarchy in work. And with that hierarchy, I was not a director at that time. I was a talent. And that's that puppet on the string that I like to talk about, because you've
But
got to
that's
know your place.
absolutely, that is very, very true, because the hierarchy, you pride yourself. We all do, is like a voiceover actor, a voiceover.
Yeah,
I will go in, I will knock this out of the park for you. I will give you whatever you want. Well, the writer, he's paid dues as well. He's taken, to get to that point
job.
where he's writing a huge video game, an animated
Yeah,
series. Same thing as a producer, same thing as the director. It's not like, they just came in and decided to do it. Luckily now for me, I've been around long enough that most of the directors are friends that
yeah.
have come up through the ranks. So
You
it's
got
like, so
some
it helps a
wiggle
little.
room.
But
Yeah,
even then, sometimes what they're asking, you to do, you kind of go, or they're not sure, and the writer will be there as well, or the showrunner, and going, okay, this is, okay. And sometimes for clarity, just to clarify what's going on here for your own, because sometimes with auditions, as we know, there's the script, and it's like, so we want gravitas, and it's between 20 and 45 years old. Okay. That's not giving me a lot here. Is like, is he a big, large person? Is he a little tiny, thin Weasley guy? Is he dishonest? Is he honest? Is he royal? Is he not?
Human?
I mean, there's all of those, but the key to all of this, to be successful doing this, be prepared to think on the spot.
Yeah,
I'll give you a great example, even going back to when I like Avatar, the cartoon series, when I was doing that. I wouldn't look at the script when they would send it over, and they'd go, well, and it was like the only reason that I didn't. First off, radio, I'm fine reading cold. That's not a big, but the problem is you do it and go, so that's why, and they go, yeah, no, don't do the laugh. And you're like, well, don't you know what this laugh, that laugh is the essence of this character.
Yeah.
What do you mean don't do the laugh?
Yeah.
And then your brain's fighting you going, and that way, by now, it just keeps completely empty slate, which for me is not hard. But I mean, that way, when you go in, whatever they're saying, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Not a problem. You're not going, but I did it this way.
That's a big thing, because in film, what's negative about film is you memorize direction, your own direction. You memorize where you should be, how you should be doing it, and you don't have the director there yet telling you how to do that. In voice acting, it's a beautiful gift that we don't have to memorize. That's such a gift. And that is where some of that spontaneity should come in. But if we already know the outcome, it makes it harder for us to sound spontaneous as discovery, or, as you're pointing out, to be directed, because now you're stuck in your direction. So if you make all these decisions, and I'm all about, understanding your story and knowing where you are and being real in that moment, but you can also overstudy so that you're not directable. And
well, true, and it's a totally weird bullshit dichotomy, because auditioning, you're on your own and you have to make those choices for it to stand out.
That's right.
But once you've booked the job, they may go, oh, that's great, but this is where we want it to go. And I've had character where it's like, and it's like the third take I did or something. It was like, really? Or it's something, sometimes things go very quickly when you book. It's immediate, and agent calls, hey, great, you booked this, we want to know what. Or it could be, 6 weeks. Oh yeah, you booked that, and it was like, booked what? I don't remember. And you're kind of scrambling, trying to find where what was that labeled as, trying to see what you did. But the whole thing is just keeping yourself open. That's why the director's there.
Exactly.
You're there. You did well enough. They liked your whatever you did for the audition, so they're going to tell you. But put yourself in that person's hands. Just look at yourself. You're a piece of clay, and let them mold away.
Well, and also put yourself in their shoes, because, again, going back to my story, is I didn't realize I was overstepping. I thought I was just being helpful. I didn't think it was an overstep. And I just didn't have the comprehension at that time. I was too inexperienced to understand that wasn't my place in the room. And if I could have put myself in their shoes, how would you feel if you go, you're going to go paint someone's house and they're telling you how to paint it, but they've hired you as the painter. You don't expect them to bring all your supplies. They're going to bring their supplies. Typically, they're going to paint what you've asked them to do, but you're not going to necessarily tell them exactly how to do that, because that's their expertise. You're not going to say, well, I would like you to swath this way versus this way, or you spackle wrong. So if it's like you're telling your hired gun that they're doing something wrong, even though you think you're just being helpful, you're actually pointing out their mistakes. And I think that talent especially are very unaware of their physical responses, their auditorial responses, that showcase that they want to direct instead of being directed. So, someone's directing you and you're going, yeah.
I have
saying, would you please shut up so I can do what you want me to do? I just need you to shut up. Which is the worst thing.
Yep, I got you. There's that. I had one guy that I worked with, and every time I'd go, okay, look, let's try doing this. In other words, it needs to have a little more. And what he'd do is roll his eyes. And then there was one time when I'm giving him direction, he goes, And I go,
Ouch.
if I go, and I just basically said, if you yawn one fucking more time while I'm telling you this, we're done.
Shit. Yeah.
It's like, well, I was tired. I had, and it's like, I don't give a shit. It's
Yeah.
rude. It's like, I'm not interpreting that as, oh, you're tired. I'm interpreting it as you're bored as hell, and what I'm saying has no meaning to you. And it's like, that's fine. Then let's be done.
Yeah.
The thing that people need to be aware of is that sometimes even producing demos and that sort of thing, which I do, you do, that kind of thing, but understand that I'm I want it to be the very, very best possible thing you can do. I put my heart and soul into doing
Exactly.
a
Of
demo for
course.
for whoever it is,
Yeah.
and it's very specific for that. So that's fine, but don't act like oh, you're doing me this great favor by
Yeah.
in other words, it's like starting a conversation. If you start a conversation with me, oh yes, well I've called a number of demo producers, and I'm just curious. So what's your thing? And it's like
Yeah.
it's all out there. Well, why would I go with you? It's your decision. It's like I'm
Yeah.
not going to sit there
Exactly.
and sell you. It's like the proof's in the
Yeah.
pudding, and the stuff's all over the internet, the website, you can listen to a zillion demos. You can see whatever you want, but
Yeah.
don't come off as when you're brand new to this going, well, I
Like
mean,
choosing.
if I was to choose you and was to work with you, what's the, and it's like, then choose and we'll go through the whole thing. And it's like, I'm not
Well, they're
here to,
probably used to a lot of the which isn't our favorite is the sales tactic of the industry. There's a lot of people that are in this industry because they want the money that comes out of this industry. And so
Mhm.
they're not with the same, I feel anyway, with the same heartfelt purpose of wanting that demo produced. Like there is a story for us. We
And the
want
thing
to
is too,
hear
vet,
that
vet,
story for our
vet, vet,
clients.
vet, 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 vet. It's not God with the internet, key in the person's name and see what they do. But if the guy's in,
Yeah.
Moose Dick, Idaho, and has
Yeah.
done, like, yeah, but did this commercial for, Bob's restaurant, and it's like, oh, that's great. And it's,
Yeah.
and it's, there's, I mean, and I'm not demeaning, oh boy, well, that's it. Yeah, you're just, elitist. It's like, that's not what I'm saying. It's
Not it.
just that it's not that difficult to check and see what's happening, but don't approach somebody in
Yeah.
this business with I've had people that go, so, or they'll leave a message, and I'll call them back and said, hey, how you doing? This is Marc Graue returning your call. Who? Marc Graue. In regards to what? And I went,
And you went on
nothing.
your
And I
way.
go,
Yeah.
no, and I just went, nothing. Hang up. It's
Yeah.
like, the one thing you can't is like, if you're going to do this, at least at the bare minimum, learn who the damn players in this
Yeah,
game
exactly.
are.
It's true.
Because that kind of stuff, it's like, and I know that's like, well, maybe, the person I don't give a shit. I'm busy too. And it's
Yeah.
like, I've been doing this far too long to explain to you oh yeah, I'm the guy that was the voice. It's like, I'm not going to go through a resume with you.
Yeah.
Everything is there. You called me initially because you looked at my website, you looked at stuff on the air, you found out I was the voice of this, of that, whatever it may be. Great, let's work together.
Yeah.
But if you're acting like, who, oh, yeah, well, it's like, no. The other thing too is, I'm a firm believer in paying it forward. Like if you've got a question,
Yeah.
hey man, email me, I will answer, I promise. But don't turn that email into 20 questions. And
Yeah, of
so what do
course.
I do? Because I'm not going to give you, a 3 hour career tutorial,
Yeah.
on one, and I don't even know. Same
And
thing
that's where I think the talent need people like us because, like the guy that you said, listen, if you yawn one more time, I feel as when I was casting, while I direct, while I'm training, not while I'm a talent, but I feel a necessity, I guess, to educate them. And that's hard too, because is that my tool at the time? Is that the hat I'm supposed to be wearing at the time? Maybe not always. But I feel like if people don't tell them, they're never going to know how much they're overstepping, because no one told me that I was overstepping in that animation series. No
sure.
one told me. I learned that myself, realizing it after time and experience that I was doing that. And I wish someone would have said, Deb, this isn't your place right now. And that's the
Right.
problem, is everybody has to have tact in order to do that, because You don't want to change the mood. You don't
Well,
want to change the feeling,
and
but you
two,
do want
though,
them to understand that, hey, this is going to get you into trouble later on,
but
and I
again, too,
care.
realize who the players are.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I understand questions, and that's perfectly understandable. But
Mhm.
if you're questioning the authenticity of what I do, screw you. I don't need to
Yeah.
prove myself to you. I've been doing this forever. It doesn't. It's
Exactly.
like, if you don't believe it, then don't believe it. I don't. It's not. In other words, to me, at this point, career-wise, for me, it's more pay it forward. I'd love
Yeah.
to see somebody else's success, have them go, this demo's great. Oh, I booked this. Oh, I'm doing that. That's fine. And that's where I'm at, because I've kind of been there and done that. I'm an
Yeah.
old
It's
guy,
exciting. Yeah.
and that's fine. But when you come off very cockily, or
Oh,
like, well, Dad, there's people that the whole purpose, even coaching, you're there to give them information and say, check this out. And I love it when they go, that's cool. What a great idea. Oh
I
man,
love that.
I'm going to
Yeah.
use it. And then they email you and go, I used that tip. Shit, I booked it. Da, 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 that's awesome. And it's like,
Mhm.
yes,
Feels
I
good.
love that.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
that.
team. It's a
That's the
teamship, right?
that's
We're a
like
team.
crack. It's like, that's just that addictive. Like,
It
man, that's
feeds you. It's
awesome.
true.
You
It's true.
know,
And
but
and,
but
and so
when it
again, you go
has
back
that
to the people
abrasive
that,
feel, it doesn't. It does when it's just
yeah,
grit like this and banging heads. There's no need for that.
that's
You
true.
know,
And again, we'll go
and
back to the people that are, there's money people in this industry that are doing it for the business of it. And then there's people have who just actually want to have a hand in your journey
sure.
because it feels good. And the reward for us is that it actually feels really good. I feel so great when someone books based on some advice that I helped get them. It doesn't make it just my advice. It's advice I've learned through several through
Sure.
training, through on being
But and
on
all of
the actual
all of that
studio.
comes into play, and even dealing with a coach, a producer, or dealing with a potential client.
Yeah.
But it's like, I love it when people start off. I mean, so how much do you charge? You go, okay, well, this is how much a demo. Oh, well, that's really expensive.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute. Before you do that, check and see what the main players are charging, and then
Yeah.
call me back and tell me, oh yeah, that's outlandish because you're full of
True.
shit.
Yeah.
It's
True.
not. It
Yeah.
is. It's not even close. It's very. So don't start with that, because immediately if you do that and then you call back, it's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I
I don't
don't. I
have to
don't want
take
to do
you
your
on.
demo.
Yeah.
And it's for some reason you feel that, that. Oh well, you have. No, I don't.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know I pride myself in that kind of demo. Again, heart and soul goes in. It's no different than creating a song or it's this all goes into. Well, we just did your stuff, and again, and I mean,
Full
if it
production.
takes, but I don't care if it takes 14, and if sometimes it'll take 2 hours to just find that right little cut of music. But when it
Yeah.
is, damn, that's the one.
Yeah.
And it
They
just
don't
and
have
it
that
just
understanding.
works.
And I
And
think that there's something to be said for both talent and then in our positions as demo producers or directors and coaches, is that there's this level of experience where you don't need to sell, you don't need to push, you don't need to do any of those things. And that's the same thing with the talent. When the talent get to a place of experience, they know they don't have to beg the client to love their work anymore. They can actually just be themselves. Like
sure.
it's like you learn how to be yourself is really what voice acting becomes, is you learn, oh, so all those little imperfections of me actually belong here now. I finally found a home for all
Sure.
those things. Instead of always trying to be what you think they want, you find your
But
signature and you bring that.
again, the thing is now, especially since COVID, everybody has home studios, which means you're going to be not only an engineer, but you're going to be self-directing, which is a bitch. You're
Yeah.
always going to be your worst critic. God,
Yeah.
do you hear that? Do you hear that popped P? Your name is Bob. There is no popped P. And it's like, yeah, but it's I mean,
I can hear it.
it's
Technically, it's
that.
not right.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
people get hypercritical, and I understand that. But the interesting thing is, on my side, and we've worked together when in doing your demos, and you see how and so I'm thinking in terms of your read and presentation, but also what's going to happen. Like, my brain's
All
going, okay,
around.
this will be really cool to do this when that happens. This is, and we
Yeah.
did a couple of throwaways, like, oh, here, do this voice, and then we made a little mini scene, and it comes off great, and it's fun, and it's cute, and all of that kind of stuff. On the other end, when you're as hired gun as a voice actor, all of that shit goes by the wayside. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, whatever you guys want,
Yeah.
that's why I did whatever, and that's what you like. So sometimes they will let me go, and they'll let me do a page at a time.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll do line by line. Sometimes we'll do one set, like here's responses, 5 responses, do those, and then we'll go back and do a pickup if it wasn't the right intent or whatever it may
Hmm.
be. And sometimes, it can get grueling. There are directors that are exceptional. And again, the whole key to that, keep it light. If you're
Yeah.
working a session and you have a
Fun.
director and they go, God, this was great. You did such a wonderful job, but it went quickly. It was fun. We booked 3 hours. My God, you were done in 2. It's wonderful. And da da da. Everybody's happy. Guess what? You got a client that's going to be coming back to
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
Whereas if you bitch about every single line and da, da, I told you the ADR story without, mentioning her name, of course, big star, 33 lines of dialogue to do. And in 5 hours, she had done 3, every single line, and it's like, well, needless to say, whoever that ADR supervisor is, there's no
They're
way in
not gonna
hell,
come back.
job or not, if it was that actress again,
Yeah,
he would pass. It's like, nah, I'm
exactly.
good. It's not worth the headache.
Yeah.
And you have to realize that you're not God's gift to the world of voice. There
True.
are a lot of
Very
people out
replaceable.
there, and it's like, and well, of course we all have an ego and we do this and absolutely positively. And being collaborative is wonderful, but there's a
Yeah.
difference between being collaborative and being combative.
Yeah, that's true. And again, that's where I think that there's this big shift that it's just getting worse because these kids are in schools. When they're in school now, if there's a fight in school, everybody gets suspended, which can be good. But if you're the one that got picked on, like, why am I getting suspended for someone else picked? So everybody's got this whole neutrality going on where the kids argue with the teachers now. The parents go in and argue with everybody, so they don't want to deal with the parents.
Well, and here's something I will get shit for too, I'm sure. But the thing is too, is children, all kids, you want to be accepted. You would kill to be part of the cool
The
kid
group.
clique,
Yeah.
whatever it may be, and da da da.
Everybody.
So as an outsider, if you're a little outsider, a little different, whatever, but basing your whole thing, so da da da. So I just go crazy and this, and I'm gay, so I goes queer as hell and da 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 and piss me, and it's like, well, that's great. I'm happy for it. And again, don't misinterpret. I'm not saying, oh, you're anti. No, I'm not. That's not what I'm talking about at all. It's like there's certain parameters we're all going to have to deal with in life.
Yeah.
Again, it's the same thing as tattoos. I've had engineers that have huge, beautiful sleeves. They're gorgeous. I mean, just all the color and stuff. But I just said, guys, when you're at work, you got to cover that up.
Yeah.
Well, that's bullshit. And I went, no, it's because this is not a music
The
studio.
stigma.
We've
Yeah.
got a lot of very straight ad agencies, and you've
Yeah.
got a lot of clients that are a little bit straighter that are put off by that. So while you're in the workplace, just, you got it. Sorry, I'm not going to get into a thing with you. It's like you
Yeah.
do whatever you want. You can tattoo your forehead and tattoo your whole face. You see people online. Wow, look at all those tattoos. Is that guy going to get the job at the interview for the big money? Hell no,
Why not?
because
There's
there
gonna be a
is a
predetermination.
preconceived notion, and we've
Yeah.
all got to fit. So once again, whatever you do in your personal time, I don't care. You don't care
Yeah.
what I do. Be happy. Do whatever you love to do. It doesn't matter whether it's, happy this or sexual or whatever it may be. You do whatever you like.
Absolutely.
That's God bless you. You be happy.
But you
But
don't have to
what
bring it into
but
work.
what you do has not a damn thing to do with me. And
Yeah.
bringing it up, why?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm happy for you. And it's
Yeah.
like, we're working on this particular project here that I'm concerned about the character, not about you. I'm concerned about what you're going to do as this character.
Yeah.
What you do in your personal life, that has no bearing on what we're
I
doing.
guess that's where society is they're so with them. What's in it for me? 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 This is about me. This is about me. This is about me. And it's still a world. It's not just one person. And it's funny because we teach, love yourself, care about yourself, be proud of yourself, put yourself first so that you can be great as a parent, so you can be great as a spouse, so you can be great as a child. But at the same time, the entire world doesn't revolve around you and your interests. And I think that there's a separation for workplace environment versus personal environment. And a lot of
Absolutely.
people
There
can't
there
seem to
has
find
to
that
be that.
divide. Yeah.
There has, and the problem is that your points of view, and even down to regardless of politically, it's like that don't I mean it doesn't matter. I don't care what your political
Yeah.
ideology is. It doesn't, I still am going to either love you or not love you. I will
Yeah.
like you, I won't like you.
Yeah.
That makes no, I don't care. I mean, if you're a huge Trump fan, well, then knock yourself out. If you're a huge Biden fan, then knock yourself out. That has no bearing on whether or not I like you and whether I'll go out to dinner. People now have gotten so divided. Oh, well, fuck, I would never fight with a person like that. And it's like, why? They could be a
Yeah.
very nice person. They just have, to what you personally think are dumb shit political views.
Yeah.
But that's my personal thing. Now, if I want to come out and go, well, you're a total asshole for thinking that, great. All you're going to do is create a shitstorm. And now whoever that person is, now there's a riff, and you're not going to be friends with them. You're not going to be and it's like, it doesn't, I mean, that's just a small slice of that person. And it's the same thing as with anything. It's like, all of it. If you want to dye your hair bright blue and spike it and shave part of your head and have one little thing, good for you. That's rocking, keep it going. But there are people that are going to look at you and be put off by that. It's that's just the nature of the world.
There would be a difference going back to Tattoo Guy, for example. There would be a big difference where you're running a studio. I've been the talent or the casting director, let's say. So I don't have my office. I don't have a staff other than, the odd assistant and stuff here and there who are representing the company. And so as talent, we could be in our pajamas, really. I mean, that's not very professional, but at this point we can be in our pajamas. And I do buy pajamas to voice in because of comfortability, because of clothes making noise. I tend to buy a lot of leather. Oh, yeah. And so you can't wear that in a studio. But you have this
but see,
when people need to understand clients, which is real. We're going to touch a lot about clients in future episodes and bring some clients on so you can hear from their point of view. But we're so busy as a production team, making sure the clients are happy because they're paying the bills. And
that's absolutely, like, one of the tattoos on this was a great big old gnarly looking thing, and it said "fuck you" on his forearm. Fuck you, in big old letters. And it's like, okay, great. That's fine.
Not a problem.
It's not my arm, but we had a client back when that used to do all of the Swan Princess movies, The King and I, all the animated features. Rick Rich was the head of Crest Animation. Very, 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 very straight-laced religious individual. Yeah. Well, my job as a studio is to keep my client happy and da-da-da. And obviously, if he comes in and here's this guy that said, fuck you, I mean, how do you think that's going to go over? Yeah. Well, then that's bullshit. You just tell the guy to get screwed. It's like, that's not how the world works, guys. Sure, you can tell that, then the client's gone, and guess what? You won't have a job. I would never bring you in again in a zillion.
Everybody's lost their job then. Because you.
Yeah. And quite honestly, too, I will give you another thing in this business. Seriously, loyalty goes quite a ways. Yeah. We've known each other forever, and I would do anything for him. And that. And I don't mean, but I mean, it's like, whether it be, demo and working on that. Am I going to take a little, but hell yeah, because it's when somebody shows me loyalty, I will be your forever and ever and ever, whatever you need. Yeah. Hey, you call and you go, hey man, I know you guys are doing auditions at the studio, But when you go, oh, hey man, I know you guys are done. So is there any way you could do this? And the next thing I see is, you're doing your demo with this guy or doing whatever. It's like, yeah, well, obviously I'm not good enough to do that. So why do you think I'm good enough to bring you in for this? And if that's petty, too damn bad. There's plenty of people out there that are, you can't play both in. You can only do it so long, and then it's fine. Business is business. Yes, you will still be cast, but still, there is, you expect that loyalty and somebody to be nice and above board. I was going to say the other thing also is that you probably get this too. A lot of people, oh, can you give me a referral to an agent? I've never worked with you. I don't know who you are. And quite honestly, and I've, told people, look, well, that's just because you want a demo out of it. It's like the demo is fine, but at least at that point, you know what? I've worked with you. I see how you work. I see how you take direction.
Your
I
reputation's
see
on the line every time you do a
exactly.
referral.
And I told you, I told you the story with Crack Girl that we booked. We had not done her demo. We booked her off her demo. She came in all twitchy, obvious. I mean, just, it was ridiculous. And the director's going, can you, no, I know. Well, I didn't, okay. Look, could you just, yeah. And it just, and finally the guy just got us a sign. Said, look, I can't do it. This session's going straight to hell. We had to pay her off, eat the cost of the session, do another session for free. I mean, it was just, and we looked like total idiots.
Yeah,
and so,
exactly.
it's not a fact of, oh, well, you'll only bring, no, if I'm bringing somebody in, hell yes, I want to work with you because I want to know. And quite honestly, even home studio, you have people, oh yeah, I've done, done this and that, and then you finally, find out, yeah, they went to, somebody and have this beautiful demo done, but at home they're running a Blue Yeti, going directly into an OPC with whatever. And it's like, and Source Connect, oh yeah, they've never used it, and it's like, that's not the time to do that. And
Which
it's like,
goes back to the headshot / demos in film industry. It's the client's biggest pet peeve I ever heard was the talent didn't look like their headshot. That was their biggest pet peeve because they brought them in knowing that that's what they were going to get. And it's the same thing with the demo. They're bringing you in based on that demo. That's why it's the most important calling card you have. It's your business card. It decides who you are. And so when they hear it, if it took you line read after line read to get what you got out of that, that is not a good demo for you because you weren't.
Well, and the same thing quality wise, you can't go into it and go, well, I definitely want to come into the studio and do it. It's like, that's great, but understand your demo is going to be like, oh, holy shit, and incredible and clean and your home studio better. It's like, well, what the hell happened here? That's not what we heard. And that's not a good.
So then you feel the same way I do, because I feel that all talent that are at home talent, at least, and not local to a major market, which I think is pretty much everybody now, must be doing their demos in their home studio, because I think it should reflect what they're going to get.
Not doing it themselves, but recording
never doing it themselves ever.
Because the other thing with that too is that way when you've got someone that's seasoned that does this, that and has ears, and on the other end, I do that all the time with people. Coaching goes, send me a couple of nope. Oh man, your levels are really, really low. I mean, it's barely showing up on here. It's overmodulated. There's room tone. You need to get something behind you so when the time comes with a client, you're ready to go. The problem is with home studio, nobody has anything to relate to. It's like, no, it sounds great. In this little microcosm in your booth with your headphones on. But in the real world, they're kind of going, what is this? Which is the other thing that's nice with a live session, because I go, bring that up a little bit, pull that back, and now it's still hitting a little loud. I have a tendency, obviously, to get very loud with stuff. So they go, oh no, we need to back up. And even though I've got a limiter running in the background, it's like sometimes it gets too, which is fine. But the whole thing is, don't assume that, okay, I've got this home and I've got this and I've got this and that and that, and I'm going to do it's that's not the way it works.
And that's where doing your demo from home is so wise, because number one, if you have a good demo team, they're going to listen to your sound first. They're going to check it out. They're going to make sure it's ready. And because we're not going to waste our time and go into a demo session, have all these people lined up for it, and then you're not ready. Your studio isn't ready completely. We can't use any of the product you're sending us.
Oh yeah, we've run into that a zillion. There's a hum underneath. I don't know what's going on, but you've got like a ground lip going underneath everything. Or there's, are you running? Oh yeah, well, I'm using a gate, and it's like, well, take it out, because it's like it's way too much. That's not working.
Or when they don't even understand what that means, they don't realize they put a gate on it and don't even know it. But I think it's so important. Like, well, we'll do a sound test. We'll have our engineer. Like, your demos are brilliant in the fact that you engineer them as well. So you're not only the director and the coach in it, you're actually the engineer. So you know where you want sounds to go. And so it makes it easier for you to divert.
It's difficult with staff, with engineers, because a lot of the time I'm back in there going, nope, you're missing. But see and say, don't look at it, listen to it.
Yeah.
And there needs to be a flow. A demo is not just, it's separate pieces, but it's all like an orchestrated where all the pieces fit. So when you hit play, it all goes boom, 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 and it all makes sense and all flows together like it should, where it's not like, whoa, that's a weird tone or whatever that means. And sometimes, you take the time to, a 12-second spot may have 3 different pieces of music in
That's
it.
right.
But when it's done, it's like, damn. And that's what you would normally do if you were actually producing a real spot.
Yeah. Now, so because I don't engineer, and never do I want to, even though I have to be with my band now, it's like it's forced into my hand. We'll send them off for a demo.
I noticed the vocals were way louder than everything else. What the hell, Deb?
Jeez, I don't know what you're talking about. So we'll send them for an engineer test so we can hear their sound, and you might not be ready. You might have to fix up your studio still. You might have to fix up your acoustics. You might have to learn how to record better. And so you should be tested out on that before you
and that's another point. When you bring that up, don't get pissed off about it.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm simply trying to help you.
Trying to help you, man. We're going to get you somewhere.
It's not. It was fine for, it's like, I was probably
said
great.
It was fine.
Yeah.
I got this. I had because I fight USB mics like the plague, and I have one of the students. He's now training talent, and he is I think he engineers. I don't know how good of an engineer he is. I think he engineers. And so I didn't even realize that when he did his demo, but this was a long time ago, that he was doing it on a USB mic. And he was bragging to everybody, yeah, Deb didn't even know it was a USB mic. Well, yeah, but you sweetened it, you changed it, you had to normalize it, you had to do all this shit to it. You had to remove noise. Now, for you guys that don't understand, if you send that to an engineer, they're going to know you did all that stuff. They're going to know that.
Oh, sure. It's like, it's like knocking stuff down a half a semitone where you lower get it down. So it's got a locked up.
And he's so proud, but you had to work so hard to get that mic to sound really good because it's a shitty mic. Period.
Well, and the terrible thing is with that, it's like, okay, yes, if you're going like this and that's what you're doing, explainer videos, yeah, you can probably get away with that. But if the minute you go, then I went outside, it's going to go, and, smoke will be coming out of your computer.
Truth be told, that was a narration demo as well, so that is sensible. However, again, it goes back to arguing the fact that we're saying no, there's a natural hiss of these USB mics, and everybody wants to prove it and prove it and prove it, and all I do is prove it and prove it.
But you will see copy actually come across. Do a tail slate, meaning you're slating at the end of the project. We want to know what you have. So it would be like, oh yeah, this is Marc Graue. I'm running an Apollo Twin when I've got an Avalon 737 tube mic pre with an Ellen 1176 compressor in the background. I've got and it's like, oh, okay, cool, and that does matter. If you go, well, I've got a Radio Shack mic from 1968, and it's like, well, I mean, and a lot of this, I mean, a lot of it is BS, keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing, where that's what clients. But realize what you're trying to do is eliminate any obstacles. You don't want to, oh, well, they're using this, so yeah, we probably should. No, I got this. It's like, oh, well, obviously you're a pro, you're doing it, then let's go. Sure. Exactly. And there's no issue.
Yeah. I know a lot of talent, I think, are being trained right now, because I see it, especially at this one particular school. They're being trained.
The Columbia School of Broadcasting.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much it. They're being trained to put their equipment on their websites. And so I look, and like, it's before their bio, it's before their demo, and it's a shitty setup. It's an absolute shitty setup. So I'm like, you don't have.
Well, and the thing is, honestly, the only question like a potential agent would ask, do you have Source Connect? Do you have broadcast quality? Right.
Exactly.
They don't know. You're not going to go. If you go into tech specs, it's like most people are like, huh? I mean, outside of this, it's like, once again, I don't know what you're talking about. But again, just realize that when, you're asking, oh, yeah, you should try. It's not a pissing match. It's not like, oh, well, I've got this and you don't have that. That's not what that is. It's trying to up your game so that your stuff is going to be on par with everybody else's. And you miss the fact with that it's not just you in this little microcosm and you're doing a voice in an audition. That thing's got got to stand up against 200, 500, 1,000 other auditions.
Yeah,
And if
right.
everybody else's is like this, like this, like this, and yours is like this, yeah, okay, it's like back then, it's all
What's the
crazy.
big
It's like,
deal?
well, what just happened? Yeah, it's like, and immediately that's enough. They'll just pass it. It's like, whatever. No, there's nothing there. Or if it's overmodulated and too crunchy and stuff, it's like people assume normalize. Ooh, and I always say, yes, normalize, that's great, but not understanding what normalize does as you record whatever the hottest part in that is, it's going to take that hottest point and bring that up to zero and everything with it. But if it's already up there by it's only going to minuscule. It's not a compressor. It's not going to push everything up, which is fine. But it just, again, at this point, it's like if you're doing coaching, whatever, or somebody, or you're asking a question, then I'm going to give you the best information. If I don't know, I'll go, you know what? I'm really not sure. If I do, I will tell you. But if you immediately go, oh, well, now because so-and-so said it's great, good, go to so-and-so. Thanks.
Yeah, I know. And I think
it's like,
that's the bottom line, right? It's a matter of your personality is your personality, and you should be you in everything you do. But if you're uncooperative, if you're combative, if you argue with direction, you become a personality they're not looking forward to working with. And so if you become a personality they're not looking forward to working with, you're going to work less and less, and you won't realize it's not about your skills at that point, because what we sell as voice actors is our personality. Whether the client enjoyed working with me today is going to make a huge impact on whether I work with them tomorrow. And so being unruly, overstepping, not knowing my place in the room, not understanding all those things, and care enough to, I guess, in defense of the talent, there's too many people out there teaching now. There's too many people teaching, I think, poor practices that they're confused. They're very confused.
Well, that and
so-and-so says do this, and so says do this. Like, where do I go? How do I do
but
that?
leave yourself open to
Yeah.
the interesting thing is when we speak, it's resonating through your ear bones. So it sounds entirely different than what I'm hearing on this side if it's electronically enhanced. So I've had people where you go, no, you need to go like this. I did that.
I know.
And it's like, well, no, because if you did do that, I wouldn't fucking be telling you to do it again because you didn't.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's not like I'm trying to be picky or
no.
It's like, I don't want to get, something bad and having it, wow, God, because that sounds weird. Yeah, it sounds weird because you wouldn't. It's like, it's, well, yeah, it's not, again, it's not like all knowing, all seeing, oh my God, but I'm always astounded at people that, you look that have been in the business as far as you can see, maybe 4 years, and all of a sudden they're doing this and that. And it's like, really, what exactly is it that you've done? And there's a lot of people that have money and buy their way into situations and stuff. And that's a whole different beast. And it's like, it's not saying there isn't room for everyone, but that's, the whole thing is, again, just get behind somebody that's going somewhere and hang on to their belt buckle and go with them.
Yeah.
And if you have a question, ask it. If I'm coaching people, my philosophy has always been, hey, even if we're done, you did it. If you got a question, absolutely, man, email me and I will get right back to you and let you know. Well, I had this one, this agent reach out. Is this a good, and I will tell them if I know. I may not know, and if I don't, I will tell them I'm not that familiar. I'll check. I'll ask a couple of people. Let me see. And it's well, do I really need this equipment? You don't necessarily need it, but it's going to take out that block. If you go, I have this and this. It's like, oh, well, wow. It's just, again, a USB mic with Audacity. It doesn't sound like, well, wow, you went all out on this. I mean, to me, it's the same premise as if you're sending out. When I first came back up to Hollywood, I had been down in San Diego doing radio. When I first came back, my stupid resume, I had a buddy of mine that did cartoons, did a character thing on the front of it, was great. This stupid resume was about 200 pages long.
Oh, no.
No, there's no way in hell. I mean, it was like letters of recommendation.
Oh, no.
I didn't expect, no.
Resume.
No. Very loose, fun. But the only reason that I did that is sitting on a desk. It's like, what the hell is that?
Right.
It's like, because it's completely different. It's not a one-off. There's a
Yeah,
single
fair
sheet.
enough.
It's not, it had the cover on it and it was all bound and all of this. I didn't expect anybody to read that shit. Are you kidding me? No, hell no.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I got a job within
attention.
2 days. I got an offer. Boom.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is the same premise. Even like with the demo, have that thing stand out.
Yeah.
It's not, well, it really needs to encompass. No, it needs to grab somebody's attention and keep their fingers off the pause or rewind button.
Yeah, that's right.
And grab it and do it. Go wherever you're comfortable. That's awesome. But once again, back to loyalty to me is a huge thing in this bid. There are people that are extraordinarily loyal and have been for years and years, and there's others that aren't. And it's like, that's awesome, man. I get it. It's not bitter, it's not, just sour grapes or whatever, but it's like, but now, when you want some, now it's okay. And it's like, sorry, man, that boat sailed. My prep, I'm going to go to people that I've worked with that showed me loyalty. And of course, then that's going to be the main thing. And you have to understand, it's not like there aren't a zillion VO people out there vying for that job.
That's right. That's true.
And so just, so when you approach somebody, just think of it in terms of how are they going to perceive what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just and that's what it is. And it's every time it's just think about that individual. There's, again, going back to, it drives me, like you've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this actually about 50 years, which is forever long. I mean, it's ridiculous. But that being said, if you come and go, so who is this again? Okay.
Yeah.
So like, would I have heard you on something? And it's like, I'm not even going to have this conversation. It's like, okay, well, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, there comes a point where it's like, I remember, Kenny Mars was a dear friend before he passed. And Kenny was the voice of King Triton in The Little Mermaid. But if you go back in Young Frankenstein, he was the constable with the hand that he kept turning, the original producers, he was Otto in that. I mean, the guy, incredible. He did Funny Girl with Barbara Streisand. I mean, a hell of a career. And he goes, "Oh, walk into a thing and you'll have a 25-year-old casting guy. So, would I recognize anything you've done?" And immediately he just kind of goes, "Fuck you," and walks out.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, at least do your homework. That's all. And that way you're being respectful to whoever that is. It's like, because there does come a point where it's like, I've already gone through all of that and keeping up with the Joneses and it's like, at this point, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever.
Yeah. Pay attention, folks. And
there you go.
Learn your hierarchy in the room. Know your place and try to not be so combative out there.
And be nice. Doesn't matter who it is. Be nice.
Exactly.
Just, it's like when you get out of the session, God, what an asshole. I would never go there. That's fine. But just, during the session, keep it light. And chances are you'll have a client for life.
That's right. And we'll talk more too about kissing ass and how to approach clients, because I think a lot of people are really bad at it and don't know what the hell they're doing.
Oh, now I've got my special lips that I bring. I actually had somebody say, "What's the one thing you would recommend to be successful in the voiceover business?" And I went, "Custom knee pads." Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, Mark. Okay. That's definitely
and on that note.
So we'll be back for another episode again. I am Deb Munro.
And I'm Marc Graue, and what a thrilling experience. This was fun to have everybody here today. And it's like, this is good. It was a good time. And I really, really hope you get out of this. And as we both know, if you have questions or do have, contact either one of us. It's not hard. It's all over everywhere.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
Time, everybody.
A podcast with no boundaries that tells it like it is. This ain't your mama's show. This is the Nitty Gritty.